You won't believe this, but I gave birth in my wedding dress. Yes, in my actual gown, veil, makeup, bouquet, and all. My name is Liz Shlimon. I was 28 years old, living in New Zealand in 2014, and what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life turned into something no one in my family, my friends, or even the hospital staff could have imagined. I walked down the aisle as a bride, and by nightfall, I was holding my newborn baby in my arms. The morning started like any other wedding morning, chaotic, exciting, nerve-wracking. I barely slept the night before. You know that mix of excitement and terror? That was me. I was pacing around, triple-checking everything. The flowers had arrived, my hairdresser was late, my bridesmaids were already crying happy tears, and my mother was fussing over every detail. It was overwhelming, but in the best way. And then I felt it, a tightening in my stomach. Not sharp, just unusual, like a cramp that didn't feel like nerves. I told myself, Liz, it's stress. You're marrying the man you love today, don't overthink this, so I ignored it. I slipped into my gown, this gorgeous satin and lace masterpiece I had spent months dreaming about. I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, this is the moment every little girl imagines. I was glowing, nervous, happy, but the universe had other plans. Out of nowhere, I felt warmth rushing down my legs. At first, I didn't even process what it was. Then it hit me. My water had broken. On my wedding day, in my designer gown. The room went silent. My mother's eyes widened. My bridesmaids screamed. My photographer froze, his camera half raised. Everyone just stared at me. And in that split second, do you know what my first thought was? Not the baby, not my health, not even my marriage. My first thought was, dear God, not the dress. I know that sounds shallow, but when you've dreamed about that gown for months, when it's the centerpiece of the day you've built in your mind, it's hard not to panic about it. Then reality crashed down. This wasn't a false alarm. I was in labor, and not tomorrow, not later tonight, now. My mother clutched her chest. Someone whispered, should we cancel the wedding? My fiancé's face went pale as paper. Cancel the wedding? After all this? Number. I looked up, took a deep breath, and through the chaos I said, we're still doing this. So imagine this, a bride in full gown, bouquet in one hand, clutching her stomach with the other, walking into the registry office with contractions already starting. Every step was heavier. Every vow was broken by a deep breath as a wave of pain rolled through me. My fiancé squeezed my hands, his palms sweating. When the officiant said, you may now kiss the bride, I thought, kiss me quick, because the next stop is the hospital. The second we signed those papers, we rushed out. No photo shoot, no champagne, no first dance, just chaos. We piled into the car, my gown bunched around me, my veil flying everywhere. People on the street stared as we sped past. A bride, clearly in labor, heading not to a reception hall, but straight to the maternity ward. When I stumbled into the hospital, the nurses' faces were priceless. A bride in white lace, bouquet still in hand, mascara smudged from tears and sweat. They didn't even ask questions. They just rushed me in. One nurse joked, we don't usually deliver brides on shift. Another said, this is going to be one for the books. Hours passed in that room. I was still in my dress. The lace stuck to me. The satin was ruined, but I didn't care anymore. I was gripping the sheets, contractions tearing through me, nurses and doctors cheering me on like they were part of the family. And then it happened. That cry. That first cry that changes everything. My baby was here, in my arms, still in my wedding dress, still wearing my veil, still surrounded by half-shocked strangers clapping like it was the grand finale of the craziest show they'd ever seen. My husband leaned down, kissed my forehead, and whispered, we did it, Liz. We really did both in one day, and you know what? In that moment, the ruined dress didn't matter. The missing reception didn't matter. The chaos, the fear, the panic, none of it mattered. Because that was the day I became a wife and a mother, all in one. Looking back now, people always ask me, would you change anything? And honestly, number. Because yes, it was wild, yes, it was messy, but it was real. My wedding wasn't about perfect flowers or flawless photos. It was about love. Love that said, I do, despite contractions. Love that rushed me to the hospital. Love that clapped with strangers when our baby cried for the first time. So here's my story. In 2014, in New Zealand, at 28 years old, I walked down the aisle and hours later gave birth to my child in my wedding gown. The most unbelievable, unforgettable day of my life. And if you ask me, it was perfect, just not in the way I ever imagined.